In this video you will learn how to use a MIDI breath controller, like this one from TekControl, to add expression to the instruments in your DAW when you compose music. Let's start right now. So first, what exactly is a MIDI breath controller? Well, here is my quick explanation. Basically, it is a device that you blow air into like this, and the breath controller then measures the pressure of that airstream. This is then translated into MIDI CC values. This specific breath controller from TekControl you then easily connect to your computer with USB, and finally you map the expression values to various parameters of your choice in your software instruments, like for example dynamics, vibrato, filter cutoff, or whatever you like. Next, what exactly is this specific product, the TEControl breath controller BBC2? This is the great part, because this specific breath controller offers much more than the standard MIDI breath controller. The TECcontrol BBC2 breath controller has 3 more additional expression controls. It has a bite sensor, which measures how hard you bite on this mouthpiece, a nod sensor, which tracks when you move your head up and down like this, as well as a tilt sensor for tilting your head like this. All in all, this gives you 4 expression controllers from using this single device, while you still can use both your hands on your MIDI keyboard. Great, now how do you set it all up to start using this controller when composing and producing music? Step 1. Download the manual and install the software. Simply go to the TekControl website, to the product page, and make sure you download the manual and software, and then install the software on your computer. Step 2. Connect the TekControl device to a USB port. You don't need any drivers, so it should simply be plug and play. Step 3. Test your TekControl breath controller. Start up the software you just installed, and here you will see 4 lines. Each line represents one of the expression values: breath, bite, nod, and tilt. So try them all out and see that all those dots are moving around the lines for each of the expression features you perform on the controller. Step 4. Check the CC settings for each type of expression. I recommend that when you start, you simply leave these settings at the default value, because they do make sense. And when you get more experience in using this product, you can go in here to make your custom setup. But if you're just starting out, I recommend only using this software to confirm that all data values are recorded. Step 5. Adjust the breath pressure. There is a small little knob here to the side of the product, which basically is like the exhaust pipe of a car. Here is where all the air you push into the device come out. And you can dial this knob for how much pressure you want to feel when blowing air into this device. Step 6. Set it up in your DAW. Whatever DAW you use, you need to make sure that the TekControl USB device is recognized as a MIDI input device. Also, on the instrument channel, make sure that the track is set up to listen to all MIDI channels. Usually it will say all or omni, as you can see here. Congratulations! You have just set up your TekControl MIDI breath controller, and now the fun part begins, which is to map your expression controls from this amazing device to various parameters in your software instruments. Mapping CC values by assigning them in the interface of the instrument. Some instruments have a list of CC channels you can assign to different features right within the interface. For example, here I am using the Studio Strings instrument in Logic Pro X, and let's say I want to control the dynamic expression with breath pressure. Well, then let's open up the details here, and as you can see, the dynamic controller is now set to modulation wheel. So I can control the dynamics by pushing the modulation wheel up and down while playing. Well, what if I want to play with both hands? Solution: assign the dynamics to listen to the breath instead. And now I can play full chords with both hands on my MIDI keyboard while controlling the dynamics with the air pressure from the breath controller. Now, this was a stock plugin in Logic, so let me show you a great sounding string library that is my personal favorite right now, the Cinematic Strings 2. Now, here is a tip first. In the control software of TekControl, I recommend that you write down the CC settings for each control, because basically, mapping the specific control on your device and the feature in your software is basically like pairing them. This is one of the reasons I recommend leaving the controls in their default CC channel in the TekControl software. And the default is the following: breath controller CC2, byte controller CC1, nod controller CC12, and tilt controller CC13. So this means you will need to remember that the breath controller uses CC channel 2. So now if I open up the advanced settings in this specific instrument, you can see that I can choose to assign various parameters to CC controllers in this box, and then map to the specific CC channel in this other box here. What does this mean? Well, let's say I want to map the breath controller to the dynamics of the strings. Well, in this case I will then choose velocity X fade here, and then in this box I will map it to CC2, because that was the breath controller CC channel setup in the TekControl software, remember? So after assigning this, I can now control the dynamics by the air pressure of the breath controller. Mapping parameters with MIDI Learn. Finally, the most advanced and also most fun method is to manually map parameters in your instruments by MIDI Learn in your DAW. And for this I am going to demonstrate using Omnisphere because, well, you can basically map anything with MIDI Learn inside this instrument. To check if you can map a feature with MIDI Learn, you simply right-click on it and see if you get an option called MIDI Learn or MIDI CC Learn in this case. So now I will map the cutoff value of the filter in Omnisphere. So to map the breath control CC channel to this, you need to make sure that no other CC values are being sent at the same time. And honestly, this is one of the only tricky things with using the TekControl device, since it tracks the nod and tilt values all the time. So to send only one CC parameter, you need to remain very still as you map it and only do one movement. So simply click MIDI CC Learn here and then start blowing air into the breath controller. And bam! It is now mapped. So I can now play this sound and control the cutoff filter with the air pressure of the breath controller, like this. Let's try out another kind of mapping just for the fun of it. So now I will go to the mixer page of Omnisphere, and here you can actually map the panning of a channel. So I will map the panning to the tilt controller, and this can be really tricky because you really need to make sure you only tilt your head while mapping. So personally, I grab onto the device to hold it as still as possible in a straight middle position. then right-click MIDI CC Learn, and then carefully tilting my head to the left or right like this. And bam! Now I can even control the panning of this instrument with the tilting movement of my head like this. Congratulations! Now you have learned how to use and set up the TekControl MIDI breath controller, how to check the included software and all the CC parameters of this control, and how to map each controller to custom parameters inside your software instruments. I don't work for TekControl. I only love the amazing expression control this device gives me as a music composer, especially for orchestral and cinematic music, which is my main thing. So I strongly recommend you to check it out and see if this is something you would like to add to your studio and your music composition toolkit. Personally, I can honestly say that this is one of the most fun, creative and workflow speed boosting products I have added to my studio in many years. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.